everyone for joining. This is our 11th episode of Founders Diary. We understand that building a company can be a lonely journey. While there are many joys of entrepreneurship, there are also significant challenges. In our Founders Diary series, we ask founders about what their days look like and reflect on what they discovered during the process. So today, I'm going to moderate this with my brother, Ardi Setiadharma, my twin brother. And we're the founders of Prasetia Dwidharma. We started the company in 2008. And starting 2013, we started investment in technology startups in Indonesia. And then we start expanding to Singapore and US as well. So today, the topic is about technology for fashion industry. And we have two amazing speakers. And first one is Winzendy Tedja, CEO and founder of Yuna & Co. A little bit of Yuna & Co. Yuna & Co. is the first styling as a service platform in the region, providing the right fit, fashion, and lifestyle accommodations to spread happiness and confidence for every life's moments. And the second amazing speaker is Rohit Kumar, CEO and founder of Pixibo. Founded in 2016, Pixibo is a fashion tech company that solves for the size and fit problem in apparel and footwear. Our flagship product, Find Your Fit, is widely known to be the most accurate size recommendation platform in the industry. We work with all the leading online fashion players in Asia: Zalora, MAP, Fashion Wallet, Fashion Palais, Shinsegae, and many leading retailers in Europe as well. So, without further ado, I would like to invite Winzendy and Rohit to introduce yourself. Winzendy, please start.
Hi everybody, it's very good to be here. Thank you Arya, Ardi for having me. Thank you Nat as well for arranging the whole thing. It's a great honor. So a little bit of myself. My name is Zendy. I'm the CEO and founder of Yuna & Co. As Arya has mentioned, so we are the first styling as a service company in the region. We provide personalized fit, fashion, and lifestyle recommendation provided for customers on a weekly basis, actually, as a matter of fact. And so that's a bit of myself. I previously was an entrepreneur before as well, and this is my second venture. So I'm looking forward to talking to you guys and exchange ideas and just chat.
Thank you, Zendy. So Rohit, how about yourself? What's your background about Pixibo?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Rohit Kumar, CEO and co-founder of Pixibo. Arya, Ardi, thanks for the invite. Great to be here. You gave the sort of the high-level intro of Pixibo. We really see ourselves as as a B2B SaaS company, that solves online fashion's sort of most intriguing problems. So right now, our flagship product, as you said, is Find Your Fit. We solve for that pesky problem that anyone who shopped online has seen, right? You're about to buy something and you don't know what your size is. So that's what Pixibo does. Find Your Fit basically helps you reduce your return rates. My own background, I set up the company back in 2016, so we've been doing this for 4 years. Before that, I ran Asia Pacific for a German technology company called Sociomantic. I sort of brought that brand into Asia and expanded it across multiple countries here in the region. Prior to that, I worked at Google in the UK in various roles across for about 6 years. And then, eventually the entrepreneurial bug, bit me and I decided to get into this space. Looking forward to an engaging discussion.
Thank you, Rohit. So, the first question that I would like to ask is, how do you think COVID has impacted the fashion industry and how technology can help them solve the problem? Let's start with Rohit.
Sure. I think COVID-19 is going to result in probably the biggest economic contraction that we've seen since, World War II, right? So no sector is going to be spared, sadly. Right from, the ones that are most hit, like hospitality and travel, all the way to even categories like automotive. I think in fashion, because a large amount of the purchases are discretionary in nature, fashion is especially vulnerable. And if you're an analyst that is tracking the fashion industry, the sort of the consensus view is we'll see somewhere between a 20 to 25% reduction in revenue this year compared to last year. So I think in terms of impact, I would break it down into 4 or 5 categories. So number one is supply. So what we are seeing right now is a complete oversupply in the market. So you've had fashion retailers who are their warehouses are filled with their spring collection. They've not been able to sell it because the stores are being closed for 2 to 3 months. So you are in a situation where you have a ton of your inventory from a season that has sort of moved on that you can't sell. And sort of going with sort of microeconomics 101, what happens when there's oversupply, the price comes down. So sort of second impact that we're going to see is discounting. Which we're already seeing, deep discounting. Consumer sentiment is low. There's a lot of supply in the market, so we are actually seeing fashion retailers, resorting to mid-season sales. And I think for the rest of 2020, they are going to have to. The focus is going to be to clear their inventory. So that's bound to happen. The third impact, I would say, is sort of the role of online. Online has sort of seen a surge and is under the spotlight. If you look at the retailers, the fashion retailers who have been the most hit by COVID, these have been folks who are entirely exposed to offline, right? So these are guys, companies that have 300-400 stores, very high offline presence. Even the hybrid players, so let's say retailers who have 15-20% online, rest offline, they have sort of had to move very quickly, and they've learned what it takes to be a digital first brand. So I think what we're going to see is a big shift in retailers who have been talking about digital transformation for the longest of times. You're now suddenly going to see them move very quickly and bridge that gap and catch up with online players. So I think that's definitely a positive. And then a couple of the smaller points to close off, I'd say new categories, right? Which is suddenly, overnight we have a new category called work from home. So, everyone's working from home now, and, companies like Twitter and, in the Valley, they're all sort of one after the other announcing that, look, we're going to switch to permanent remote work or a hybrid model. So there's an entire new category around loungewear, work from home that has sort of opened up, and companies that have had the flexibility to adjust their supply chains have done really well out of that. And lastly, I'd say consolidation. There's some companies that are just weak. And, pre-COVID, retail was quite a challenging retail environment, right? Store closures, bankruptcy, and COVID has been sort of a 1-2 punch. So a lot of, we are seeing names like J. Crew, JCPenney, Neiman Marcus, a lot of bankruptcies being announced. So I think strategically, companies that do have some cash in their balance sheets and that are strong, there are opportunities to sort of come in and acquire just the digital assets or the brands. One example I can think of is the British online fashion retailer called Boohoo. They acquired Oasis and Warehouse. These are big brands, big high street brands, right? So yeah, that's what I would see in terms of the sort of the total impact on the fashion industry.
Yes. Funny thing about working from home, right? I think I read somewhere that in Amazon there was a surge of buying, but only for shirts, working shirts, not the shorts or even the pants, right? This is because you do a lot of meetings.
Absolutely.
Online. You need to change a lot of clothes, but you don't need to change the pants. So yeah, I think that's interesting. But in terms of your customer, right? MAP, Mitra Adi Perkasa in Indonesia is your customer, right?
Mm-hmm. They are, yeah.
They have a lot of offline presence as well. Have you talked to them and maybe get a sense of change of strategy in terms of online presence now?
So we work with MAP on the online side, not on the offline side. So the offline retail business for MAP is quite diverse, right? Not just apparel, even F&B like Starbucks, for instance, in Indonesia is run by the MAP group, right? So no, I think but on the back of a few things that we're working on right now, we might expand that partnership. But right now, our relationship and our engagement with them is on their apps and on their online platform, which is all powered under mapemall.com.
But is there an increase of, I don't know, like was the collaboration only for certain brands previously, and then there was increase of demand for the other brands as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to comment specifically on them, but I think, in general, what we are seeing with many of our customers, they sort of followed a trend, right? We're seeing initially, when this hit, there was a drop, and then again on the back of sales and Hari Raya and all of that, there was a seasonal uptick as well. So I think I just be a little bit careful just commenting specifically on one client.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Yeah, but the interesting comment, though, Ari, about the about the tops and all that. We saw a bunch of retailers doing things like creating looks for your Zoom meetings, right? Here are some Zoom-friendly tops and all of that, which is all around the video conferencing sort of trend, right? So this was just people being really smart, taking their existing catalog and repurposing it and making new looks out of that to serve this sort of new normal, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, like Wendy, on your side, are you guys seeing any of that, like in terms of trends? Where working from home has resulted in one category taking off over the others?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think in majority, nobody will buy a full suit anymore, right? or like a dress, like gowns and all that. People will just focus on something comfortable to wear at home, something more suitable for meetings. I think it's pretty common, and majority of the brands are basically shifting into the same kind of collection as well. Although it's mostly reactive, right?
Okay, thank you, Rohit. So, how about you, Zendy? How about you in terms of this COVID impact?
Yeah, I think I'm speaking from more like a broad perspective. I think this is actually one of the best catalysts for change right now. It's a great wake up call, especially for a fashion industry, which goes from textile production, garment, and all that, all the way until retail, to have some sort of revolution, especially in the developing countries. I think one of the biggest issue with fashion or apparel industries in general is that there is so much disconnect. There are so many layers that have disparity in data. Even labeling and codings are all very different. Like it's very different here compared. I mean, Indonesia compared to like markets in China, where a lot of these garment and textiles companies are basically like work together and creating some sort of like a standard in terms of codes of garment names and all that. Here, everybody works in small bubbles. Everybody is so disconnected. And what's becoming problematic is that this also, because the top is so segmented, that it affects everybody else, including all the brands as well. When you go to brands and we ask them about what type of fabric that they use and all that, there is no single code name that we can actually kind of like research on. So there's like this, disconnected data everywhere. So and this goes from the garment, which is the production side, all the way to retails. I'm sure in developed countries like in Singapore, let's say, or like in the US market, most POS systems are already very much connected through cloud. Here in Asia, majority of the brands, majority of retailers are still doing things on a very offline kind of model. They record all the sales on that day and report it to the headquarters manually at the end of the day. Majority of these companies, especially the smaller retailers, don't even know how to create their online ship properly. So I think now is like the best wake-up call for a lot of these players to basically start to kind of like take a lot more attention in creating better processes, unifying the database as well, understanding how the data should be stored, understanding how the data should be kind of like structured as well. And hopefully once this whole thing kind of like over, that we'll be able to kind of use technology to kind of like advance the whole thing, to kind of move faster and more standardized. I think that's what I'm hoping for, at least.
Well, I mean, like, because you talk to a lot of fashion brands in Indonesia, right?
Yeah.
Do they have all this problem right now?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. There are two kinds of problems, right? So because we buy and we basically recommend clothing from brand partners to our customers, one of the biggest issues is that majority of all this information and data are not even stored in like a cloud. Every time we ask for like a certain SKU, they don't even know whether the SKU is still available or not, inventory number wise. They don't even know if it is still available. Sometimes they don't even know where it's being stored in. So it's become such a huge issue. And especially during COVID-19, well, there are two problems. One is that their inventory counts is just all over the place, and second is that because malls are suddenly being closed, so majority of these retailers' product are being stuck inside the malls, and they can't even take it out. So that's as Rohit has mentioned, that becomes a huge problem of oversupply of getting all those products out post-COVID. I think that will be a huge problem for everybody.
Did they come to you to ask for help in terms of promoting during this COVID?
To be honest, yeah, in a way that it's a lot easier for us to kind of talk to partners and brand partners to tell them, you guys can actually put your products into our platform so that our stylists can take a look at it and recommend it to the customers. So it's actually a lot easier for them to be convinced on that app. So yeah, they do come by to us, and but we also need to kind of like reach out to them and convince them on the whole proposition as well.
I see. Okay. Thank you, Zendy. Question. Also. So what were your challenges in marketing your product pre-COVID? And are there any changes post-COVID in terms of challenges? How the industry reacts to the situation and solutions you provide? Let's start with Zendy first.
Pre-COVID, I think because we're offering something really new, we are not a normal apparel company. We are not just selling fashion. We are not selling long tail products as well. We are not even e-commerce in a traditional manner. We provide professional stylists. We provide personal stylists for customers. So obviously the number one biggest concern, even since before COVID, is actually educating the market on what kind of service that we offer. There is a good and bad thing about it. One is because we are the first one. Every time there is some excitement from some certain segments of the market, and once they actually try it, and if they actually enjoy the whole experience, it becomes super sticky. So we have some customers that's been using us for the last 1.5 years, and they come back to us on a monthly basis. So stickiness is actually one of the good thing about our service, but getting awareness in general is definitely costly. It's definitely more of a problem. So yeah, I think that's more of what we're facing. But what we are trying to do now during COVID is actually, instead of trying to solve that problem, we start to become even more. We try to kind of like go even deeper in terms of relationship with our existing customers. We actually now provide weekly suggestions through social messaging app like WhatsApp. So our loyal customers will get recommendations of item like on a weekly basis, and that's the way we kind of see our value for our customers and also for the brands that are working with us. So we can actually push their product into the customers.
So from what I understand is that you're doing the consumer side, but also trying to penetrate the corporate market, right?
Yes. Yeah. So.
Sorry, do you see it's easier for you to explain to the corporate after COVID happens?
Oh, I think for corporate partnership, it's something of we were a lot more aggressive pre-COVID. Obviously, because everyone is still going to the office. We go to their office like once every month or even twice a month to give them corporate styling advices. By them, I mean their employees. obviously since COVID, the importance have kind of like shifted. People are actually now, as Rohit mentioned, people are doing work from home. So styling has become very limited to the upper top, right? So it's definitely not an urgency at the moment, but we see another opportunity where we can actually solve other kind of issue for corporate styling. Once the situation of the whole COVID-19 spread has kind of like calmed down a little bit, so we have a new solution that I can't really reveal here yet. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Jen.
Thanks.
How about you, Rohit?
Yeah, so I think Arya, like we've had a few challenges. Like if I look at our journey over the last 3-4 years, right? So initially, the a challenge we had is probably similar to what you just described, where we're creating a category, right? So a lot of retailers, the problem we had was there was this perception that what we were trying to do was not a solvable problem, or rather, it was just something you have to live with. Return rates in fashion is just it's just something that we get used to. So I think that was something, it took us some time, especially here in Asia, to break into retailers and say, look, actually, if we come up with a way to actually tell the consumer their size, if we can start leveraging AI to predict what your size might be across different brands, and that's going to start making meaningful differences to your return rates and to your conversion rate, right? So that was the initial challenge, and I think as time went along, and this is now our 4th year in business, I'd say over the last year and a half, we've seen that has become less of a challenge. So I think now conventional wisdom amongst most online retailers who are doing a certain amount of scale is that you have to have a sizing solution. I think we don't have to, make that point anymore. So we go into the room and we have to describe why we are better than, let's say, 1 or 2 of our competitors. So that is an easier challenge, or that's easier for us to take on, because that, you're suddenly describing features, right? But I think post-COVID or during COVID, what happened was we realized that there was, when stores reopen, when retail reopens, the actual store experience is actually going to look completely different from what any of us has been used to before. And we saw an opportunity there for us to repurpose our technology. So let me explain. I think, fundamentally, one of the benefits of walking into an offline store is, the fact that you can try something on, right? And that is one of the drawbacks of online fashion. If you ask a serial online fashion shopper, hey, what do you not like about shopping online? They will tell you, oh, I never know if things will fit and I have to return products, right? And in offline, the fitting room is right there. And sort of in March, April, we started, we were trying to predict this crazy market, and how that in itself is a scary thing to do. And we realized that there will be a cohort of shoppers who will actually say, well, okay, the fitting room is right there, but I don't want to use it for various reasons, right? I don't want to expose myself to a high contact environment. And so we found that there was an opportunity to move quickly, repurpose our core technology, and deploy it in store, which is a solution that we call contactless try-on. And that's a product that we've sort of gone from ideation to testing, MVP, to launching in 3 to 4 weeks. And we've never done that before. We've always, as a product company, we've been very intentional about every problem we take on. Absolutely researching the problem, speaking to the stakeholders, and launching. And that process takes some time. And we had to throw that all out of the window and just say, look, there's an opportunity to really be reactive here. And so that was quite challenging for us, but it was also a process that I think brought the team together, and because it was obviously a team effort. If you think about all of the people involved, from engineering to product to UI, leadership, and founders, and to actually go from an idea to we've now got our first few clients on this new product. So that was, I would say, that was our sort of biggest challenge. Trying to predict what would happen and trying to see where the market is going to land up, and see whether we can position ourselves in a way that we can build something beneficial to this changing climate.
What was the reaction from the potential customer regarding what do you call the in-store
Yeah, so the reaction was positive, right? I think the most retailers that we speak to, they tell us that, their job is not to predict what every customer is going to want, right? So they need to make sure that every customer is happy. They're not going to say that, okay, look, 100% of shoppers will use contactless try-on, or 100% of shoppers will use a fitting room even after we reopen, right? But the one thing that was the common trend that came out was this: safety is going to be at the heart of the experience. So what retailers really liked is that, look, I'm not going to dictate to shoppers how they should feel. Everyone feels the way they do, right? Some might be more risk averse. Some might be, okay, you know what, it's fine. I don't see this as a big deal. My job as a retailer is to make everyone feel safe and to create this sort of gold standard for safe retailing. So I think that's the way we positioned the solution as well. Initially, we thought that things would be really crazy. Look, nobody's ever going to use a fitting room. And I think that was nonsensical. I don't think that is the case. And I think what we have now is it's the option. Some shoppers might prefer to use their phone, scan a barcode, and say, okay, look, my size is UK 8, and I'm going to take this product home, and if it doesn't fit, I can return it, right? And I think that really resonated with retailers, to really create an environment where every shopper is happy. And the second piece that we're also hearing is that, I think it's been known for quite some time that our personal devices, our phones, will have a role to play when we are in store, right? I think one simple way of thinking about it is, if you're an omni-channel retailer and you're your customer inside of your four walls, well, you can probably have 200, 300, 500 SKUs within that particular shop, right? But online, you might have 1,000, or you might have 5,000. You might have 10 times more product online than you do have in store. So, the relationship between, okay, I like this product, but maybe I like something online more. That's something that people have been exploring for a long time. So we also see contactless try-on as being a segue into a more integrated omni-channel solution, where it becomes seamless for a shopper to interact with a product in the store and end up buying something online. Good retailers don't care about it, because ultimately you just want to make the shopper happy, right? And it doesn't matter whether the sale was an online sale that happened physically when the shopper was in the store. So I think that's what's really resonating with retailers. And again, these are early days, right? So our job is to be laser focused on the data, on the adoption, and work with retailers to adjust our offering on the basis of that.
So have you deployed that, the contactless?
We're just deploying it. So we built the product out literally 2 weeks ago. We've done our first 2 deals last week. So we'll probably make announcements next week, and you'll see more about that. But deployment is literally happening, scheduled to happen next week.
In Singapore?
One in Singapore, one in Europe, actually.
Europe, okay.
Yeah. So we're really keen to see how the adoption would vary by geos. So I'll be happy to share more when I know more.
Okay, thank you.
So the next question will be, what is your take on the fashion sustainability issue? Let's start with Rohit.